Welcome back to Miss Cindy's Kitchen, and tonight I'm going to show you a family favorite, and it is no-bake peanut butter cookies. And it's something you make on the stove, and the ingredients are 1 stick of butter, which is a half a cup of milk, 1 3/4 cups sugar, and 3 1/4 cups quick cooking oats, and 3/4 cup creamy peanut butter, teaspoon of vanilla. The first step is to place the stick of butter in the saucepan.
Is it softened?
Yeah, it's room temperature.
It just slid right off that paper.
Yep. So we're going to get the butter and the milk and the sugar to where it's boiling. So I'm going to break up the butter so it melts a little faster. I keep butter at room temperature when I buy it because our microwave is not working. So I cannot stand cold butter for toast. And since I bake a lot, I need soft butter. So I usually keep a package in the cabinet, you know, outside of refrigeration because it's good for a few days. And then once we get this cooking together, we're going to bring it to a full rolling boil. That's where bubbles are boiling, and a hard boil, where it's an active bubbling situation. Once it gets to that, we will boil it for a full minute. Let me add the milk now that the butter's melted, and the sugar. And we do have a hot spot on our burner, so I'm going to turn that around a little bit. So this one we don't use a candy thermometer. We just wait till it gets to a rolling boil and then cook it for a minute. So once we get to that stage, I'll set the timer for a minute. So this is more of a candy than it is a cookie, but since it has oats, people call it a cookie. But then again, cookies and candy are kind of very similar. It just depends upon how they look and what they taste like to you. So we still got a couple little blobs of butter. And my husband's grandmother used to make a recipe that was very similar to this, and it was a family favorite, and so I learned to make it. And then unfortunately I misplaced the actual recipe she gave me, but I looked up one and found one that's pretty much spot on as to what it was. So we're just going to wait for this to come to a boil. Alright, and we're almost to the boiling point for the recipe. This is the sugar, milk, and butter combination. Alright, so get in there and take a look. Now it's really a foamy rolling boil. So now we'll set the timer for 1 minute. And it has to boil like this for a full minute. And then after it gets to that time, then we will add the remaining ingredients.
The alarm just went off. We don't know if that's the right one.
That's the dryer. Busy family, we're always running laundry. I'm sure it's the same in your household.
You know what they say? Death, taxes, and laundry.
Yeah. And they're all certainties of life, except the laundry is never ending. Thankfully, death isn't never ending.
That's the only thing more inevitable than Thanos.
Yeah.
Except you can't snap your fingers and have your laundry done.
1.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
All right.
Or if it could be like Mary Poppins, just snap your fingers and boom, your house is clean. That'd be amazing.
I always admired that show Bewitched, where she could wiggle her nose and have her chores done. I'm like, why couldn't we all be so lucky? All right. So we're gonna take this off the burner and going to add the peanut butter. And to avoid the splash factor, I'm going to put it inside the pot closer to the surface of the candy, the sugar mixture. This is 3/4 of a cup of creamy. This is a Pampered Chef item that I've had for a long time, and it is called a Measure-All, I believe. People have asked me that before, so before you need to ask me again, it's a Measure-All. Alright. And I caught the peanut butter on the spoon. It almost looks like a plop on the spoon. This peanut butter's got a weird texture. It's almost fluffy. I don't know what is up with that. So, and then the oats. And then a teaspoon of vanilla. Just a little splash. I don't feel like getting a measuring spoon dirty for that, because I can just sploosh a spot of vanilla in and be a teaspoon about. So now we're going to stir, stir, stir. See, look at that. Doesn't that look yummy?
And all of these ingredients you can find in your pantry.
Pretty much. You know, it's always good to have a stockpile of basic foods on hand, like peanut butter, oats, flour, sugar, butter. If you've got the basics, it makes it much easier to pull together a meal if you're in a hurry. And a dessert if you are so inclined. Alright. So now these are all mixed. What I'm going to do, clear this up just a tiny bit. Alright. And I have my prepared pans. So what we're going to do is scoop out the cookies, put them on wax paper on a cookie sheet. Wax paper will keep them from sticking. And again, it's more like candy than a cookie, so wax paper works well. And one thing about, some people will ask what the difference is between parchment and wax paper. Parchment is something you can bake with, and you can actually reuse it when you're making cookies or such. But wax paper is not heat safe, so it's only for use outside the oven. You cannot bake with wax paper. Just, some people have asked that question, and it's one thing you need to be really careful of. Parchment and wax paper are not interchangeable, because wax paper cannot go in the oven. Just something to bear in mind when you're getting ready to make treats. And parchment paper really isn't that expensive, and it is so handy. And then wax paper is also good when you're making, when you're packaging up treats or cookies. You can put it in between layers, so that way they don't stick to themselves, and it kind of preserves the integrity of the dessert. So, and this will make about 24 cookies or thereabouts. I'll let you know when I get to the bottom of the dough. And this should set up on its own in about an hour, and you can always put it in the refrigerator to set up quicker. And in our case, we probably would put it in the fridge to set up because we have a 4-legged toddler who steals food. And the other night she stole a tub of roasted vegetables. And she had broccoli and garlic breath for the rest of the night. She couldn't hide that one. Went to look for the vegetables later to put away, and I was like, where'd they go? She cleaned out the plastic container they were in and left it on the doormat in plain sight. She's like, that was good stuff. It was licked clean. So at least it was a healthy steal. We were a little bummed because the family missed out on them, but
I didn't know. I didn't get any.
Yeah, you were at work. The guys were at work, came home, and were getting ready to eat dinner. No vegetables. They were all gone.
Dolly'd be a terrible criminal. Commits the crime, doesn't even bother to hide the evidence.
Oh, yeah. She takes all of her forbidden treasures to the doormat by the front door where everybody walks by. She doesn't hide it. I don't think she really cares. Alright. So, I'm going to scoop those out and let me switch to the other cookie sheet.
How many were you able to fit on that pan?
That is 5 by 4, so that's 20.
Okay, so you don't need to spread these out, right?
No, because they're not gonna spread or swell or anything, so. Oops. I'm making a mess, but that's okay. It tastes good. And it looks like these have set up pretty well. If they hold their shape when you scoop them onto the pan, then that means they're gonna set up well. Because the sugar has to reach a certain point, a certain boiling point, in order for the cookies to set properly. That's why you need to make sure it gets to a full rolling boil. Set the timer for a minute. Let it get that full minute, and then remove from the heat and add the remaining ingredients. Alright, so this has made 28. So 28 cookies with a standard cookie scoop. So these need to sit for about an hour to make sure that they're fully set, and they are delicious. So we'll bring you back for a taste test so you can see how yummy they are and what they look like when they're fully set. But just remember to like and subscribe and share this channel to your friends, and give you a view of what they look like. They're pretty much not gonna squish or spread or anything. They're gonna be like this. They're gonna hold this shape, and then they just need to cool off a bit, so they'll have more of a candy-like texture. So we'll be back with you soon, and you can see what they look like when they're done. And we're back, and now the cookies have set up, and you can tell that they're set because they kind of turn opaque, which means they're not shiny anymore.
Ooh.
So now for a taste test.
It's very good. It's really nice and soft. Very easy to eat.
Alright, then you can watch Logan take a taste test.
That's what I can.
Oh boy, my turn. That's really good. It's always really good.
That's all really good, yep.
Alright, well thank you again for joining us in Miss Cindy's kitchen. And again, I will tell you what the ingredients are, just so you can go make up a batch for your family. It's a half a cup of unsalted butter, 1 3/4 cups white sugar, half cup milk. Bring that to a full rolling boil. Let it boil for a minute. Then add 3/4 cup creamy peanut butter, 1 teaspoon pure vanilla extract, 3 1/4 cups quick oats. Now, we're not talking the little packets of microwave instant oats. We're talking about the quick cooking 1 minute oats. And
how long do they sit out for?
they need to sit for about 30 to 45 minutes. And pretty much you can tell that they're going to set up if they are... if they set up right after you plop them out from the cookie scoop. You'll know that you've cooked them correctly. So anyway, thank you again for joining us. So please like and subscribe and share to your friends. And please give me your feedback in the comments. And I'll do my best to get back with you. So thank you again for joining us, and have a great evening.
Thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen. To get more recipes like this one, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications when new videos are uploaded. Share it out to your friends, family, neighbors, and leave us a comment to let us know how this recipe worked for you. And don't forget to hit that like button. Again, thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen.